Good morning. I appreciate you guys' grace and understanding. I was supposed to arrive at 9 o'clock this morning. However, my pilot and my jet, he couldn't get to the jet. He couldn't fly out of South Carolina, so he picked me up about 15 minutes late. First world problems, right, Steve and Gerald? Right. We got some first world problems out there, but super excited to be here with all of you today. This moment right here is a special moment because it takes me back. I'm going to trip over that. That's all right, no problem. It's cool. Just pick me up if I fall down, all right? But it's a special moment because I love this space, right? I love the automotive industry. I've been in the automotive industry since 1999 with a little bit of a break in between. And there was this lucky endeavor that I stepped into where I stepped into a dealership back in January of 2011. I stepped into a dealership in a little tiny place called Paris, Kentucky. Anybody ever been to Paris, Kentucky?
Many times.
Oh, many times. Okay, good. We got a couple people that have been to Paris. So Paris, Kentucky, tiny little town, population 9,600 people. It was actually December of 2010 when I first stepped foot in there. I went in and I was looking to get back into automotive. I had gotten out for a little bit. Anybody ever take just a little break from automotive? Any of you guys? I just took a little break, right? I was like, I kind of got to get out of this world. It's a little bit of a crazy world. So I took a little break. I decided to go back in. Now, part of the reason I decided to go back in, my wife was pregnant, we were having babies, and we needed to make some money. And for some reason, we tend to be able to do that in this industry. I don't know what it is, but we tend to be able to make some money in this industry pretty well, right? So decided to go back into automotive. It's December 2010. I step into this dealership in this tiny little town. Now, please understand, when I step into this dealership, they've got wood panels all up on the walls. Anybody still got wood panels in their dealerships? Okay, good. You guys are up. Oh, whoops, I saw a finger point. Whoever has it is not claiming it at the moment, right? But there was wood panels all up on the walls. They had the showroom set up. They had lawn furniture in the showroom, like literally round lawn tables with lawn chairs in the showroom, right? And they had ashtrays because they were still smoking cigarettes in the showroom. Now, this is 2011. This isn't like 30 years ago, I guess maybe it's getting to be 30 years ago, right? It's getting to be there, right? This wasn't that long ago, but they were still smoking cigarettes, wood panels, everybody was wearing Carhartts and flannels. It was the craziest little place that I'd ever stepped into, but my wife's mother lived in that town, so it made sense. If I was gonna lock myself away from 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night every day, we should probably do it in an environment where my wife could get some help with the kids. So we step into the dealership, wood panels, lawn chairs, smoking cigarettes. There's two guys behind the desk. It's about 6:30 at night on a Saturday. There's two guys behind the desk. I walk up, I say, hey, can I speak to a manager, an owner? I'd like to speak to somebody about applying for a job. Guy behind the desk says, yeah, I'm the owner. Talk to me. I'm like, wow, this is kind of crazy. It's a Saturday night at like 6 something and the owner's behind the desk? This is weird. Never seen this before in automotive. So I say, yeah, my name's Glenn Lundy. I come from Flagstaff, Arizona. I was in the car business for about a decade out there. I worked at a Nissan Subaru store. I was a top salesperson, right? We're always top salespeople, right? I was a top salesperson. I was a finance manager, best in the state. I was a sales manager, and then I became a GSM at that dealership. And now I'm here to bring my experience, my wisdom, and everything I got to you to make a difference in your organization. You should hire me as one of your managers. And the owner, Mr. Josh Cummins himself, looked me straight in the eye with a big smile, and he said, man, absolutely, I would love to hire you. You're welcome to sell cars. I said, sell cars? Wait a minute, in my head, right? Sell cars? Wait a minute, I'm beyond that. I grew past that. I earned the right to be in the box. I earned the right to be a sales manager. I earned the right to do all these other things. I don't want to sell cars, but I really didn't have much of a choice. My wife, this is where she lived. This is the only dealership. 9,600 people live in Paris, Kentucky. It's a tiny little town. So I said, all right, I'm going to sell cars. I'll sell cars for a little bit. I'll show them that I'm the guy that they need to hire as a sales manager. et cetera, et cetera. So I started in January 11th of 2011. What I didn't know is in that time period, from when I met those guys to when I actually started, they were just buying the dealership from their dad. So their dad had owned the dealership before them, his dad had owned the dealership before them. It had been there for 56 years. I'm thinking with the same wood panels and probably the same lawn chair furniture. It had been there for 56 years. They were selling roughly 110 to 120 cars a month. Anybody in that range right now? Anybody in the 110 range? Where are you guys at? Where are you guys at as dealers? Are we in the 50 to 150 range? Let me see a hand raise on those. 150 to 250. Let me see some of those. All right, great. 250 plus. Can I see some of those? Okay, good, right? So they were selling roughly about 110 to 120 cars a month at that particular store. So started in sales, sold cars for about 4 months, and then they were kind enough to bring me up and make me a sales manager. And then I went from sales manager to GSM and then ultimately the general manager of the store. And over that period of time, it was about 6 years, over that period of time, we grew the dealership 800%. We went from selling 110, 120 cars a month to where we were selling 800, 850 cars a month, with our best month being in March of 2018, where we sold 1,132 cars. This is my career on a plaque. Shows us every month of what that growth looks like. And so I want to hand that to you. Feel free to pass that around so everyone can see what it looks like to go from 110 to 1,132 units. And the reason I need you to see what it actually looks like to go from 110 to 1,132 units is it's kind of hard to perceive going from 100 to 1,132, right? It's kind of hard to perceive, right? It's hard to look at this industry, to look at what we're doing, to look at what's possible. It's sometimes hard to bridge that gap. You think right now, oh man, there's no way we could sell 1,000 cars a month. We don't have the right facility. We don't have enough land. We don't have enough people. We're in a small town. We're in a small population. We don't have the right tools. We don't have the right resources, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Our mind immediately tells us all the reasons we could never do that, right? So what I wanted to do with you guys today is let you see it, let you touch it, let you feel it, because my guess is if you're here, you're interested in selling more cars next month and next year than you do now. Is that accurate? Is there anybody looking to go backwards next year? Anybody looking to go backwards? Steven's looking at his people right now, making sure. All right? Okay, in weight, okay? We can go backwards in weight. I could use about 12-pound loss. That'd be good. Right? But for the most part, we're looking to move forward. We're looking to grow. We're looking to expand. We're looking to evolve. We're looking to take things to the next level. That's why we're here. And so what I want to do, Jason invited me here, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to fly in, and I want to help expedite your process. I do not believe in any way, shape, or form that I'm smarter than you. I do not believe in any way, shape, or form that I'm better than you. I do not believe in any way, shape, or form that maybe I do have more experience than some of you. There's some young people in here, right? But it's ultimately not about that. What it's about is I had the opportunity to work in a store that sold 100 cars a month in a small town. And then I had an opportunity to work in a store that sold 200 cars a month in a small town, 300 cars a month in a small town, 400 cars a month in a small town, 500 cars a month in a small town, 600 cars a month in a small town, 700 cars a month in a small town, 800 cars a month in a small town, and even 1,000 cars in a month in a tiny little town. Now, I can't say 900 because we never did 900. When you look at the plaque, you'll see we did 899 and we did 1132. Never once in my career have I sold 900 cars, so I won't claim to have done so. But everything in between. And because of that, I got the gift of being able to make every single mistake you could possibly make. Every mistake. I hired the wrong people. I had the wrong marketing agencies. I used the wrong tools. I made mistakes like firing the wrong guy or hiring the wrong guy. I made mistakes like getting underwater in my inventory. I made mistakes like losing money, not having good nets. I made mistakes like making promises to the owner and not delivering on those. I made mistakes with our systems, our processes, our products, our inventory, how we built our websites, everything. I made all the mistakes. And while I was making all of those mistakes, dude, we were operating at this ridiculous level. Ridiculous levels. So it was just more mistakes than you could possibly imagine because we were moving so fast, right? So fast. So what I want to bring to you is like, hey, here's some mistakes you're going to make along your way because you all said you want to grow. You all said you're going to scale. I know you're going to make some mistakes along the way. I want to help you reduce the amount of mistakes that you make. Is that fair? It's not smarter, better than anything like that. I've just already been the places I know you can go. And here's why I know you can go there. There's a guy named Ross Dawson. Anybody ever heard of Ross Dawson? Write down that name on your paper if you're taking notes, if you're a note taker. There's a guy named Ross Dawson. Okay, Ross Dawson is said to be the greatest futurist of our time. Anybody ever heard of Nostradamus? Okay, he's like the Nostradamus of today. The biggest difference would be that Ross Dawson has more data than Nostradamus could have ever possibly imagined, right? Do you guys know how rapid data is growing? It's ridiculous. They said if you took all known, written down information in the history of all of humanity up through 2022, it doubled from 2022 to 2023. That's how rapid it's growing, right? So Ross Dawson's got all this data. And Ross Dawson said, based on the data, that humanity is going to evolve 2,000 years in the next 100 years. 2,000 years of evolution in the next 100 years. Now, those are numbers that are kind of big. It's hard to grasp 2,000 years, right? It's kind of hard to grasp 100 years. Most of us don't, well, who knows? Things will probably change as we go forward. But history has shown most of us don't even live 100 years. So it's kind of hard to grasp that. So let's rewind that real quick. 2,000 years of evolution in the next 100 is the same as 100 years of evolution in the next 5. 100 years of evolution in the next 5. What used to take 100 years can now be done in 5. Think about that. Where were we 100 years ago? 1922. Does anybody, or 1923? What year are we in? 1923. Anybody know anything special about the early 1920s? Anybody? Any Ford dealers in here? Model T, right? Model T went mainstream, early 1920s. Model T went mainstream. They started selling them as personal vehicles. And people were like, what the hell is this, man? I got a horse. What do I need a car for? The car can't go up in the woods. My horse can go up in the woods. People thought it was nuts, right? They thought it was crazy. Now fast forward, you got like Elon Musk throwing driverless cars up in the top of rocket ships, shooting them out into space, bringing them back, landing them back on the ground again. Novel idea, right? Like use the rocket twice. That's a crazy idea. NASA was like, nah, dude, cost you $2 billion every time, we just blow it up. Nuts, right? That's how far we've evolved in 100 years, and that's what we're looking at over the next 5. Tremendous opportunity for you to do what used to take 100 years, you can now do in 5. Any of your organizations been around 100 years? Pretty much no, right? I know Carter Myers Automotive Group, they've been around 100 years. They started selling, buggies, horse buggies, back 100 years ago. But for the most part, no. So everything that your organization has done up till this point can literally be dwarfed in the next 5 years. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. But in order for us to do that, what we have to do is we have to go, okay, what have we been doing? Why have we been doing it that way? What can we maybe do a little different? And how do we take advantage of this opportunity? We have to start asking those questions. Now, in order for us to start reaching levels of growth like what you see on this plaque right here, it really does take a lot of outside the box thinking. And outside the box thinking, like, it's not always easy, right? Because we kind of develop these patterns. People teach us things. We have our belief systems. We have mentors. We have those that came before us, so on and so forth. Sometimes it's hard to break out of that stuff, right? Sometimes it's hard to break out of those belief systems. I was talking to Evan about it in the in the jet on the way here. We were talking about like that time in the Matrix, right? Everybody seen the Matrix movie? Where he like takes the pill and then all of a sudden he's in like the real world and they show him the real world and his mind just pops, right? It's just like, he like falls out, pukes, throws up, like he can't even process it because it's so different than what he believed and what his mind was holding on to. And this is what I see a lot in this industry, is that sometimes it's so hard for us to break out of the belief systems that we currently have. We hold on to them because they've served us well, right? We made some money, got a good life, we survived, made it through COVID. A lot of us made it through 2008. You guys remember that? I know some of you remember that, right? So it's resilient and it's strong and it has provided for us for all these years. Sometimes it's hard to let go of some of that. So what I'm going to do with you today is I'm just going to challenge you. Open your mind a little bit. Take a look at the plaque. Go, what would that look like for me? How would it affect your life, your family's life, your dealership, the people that you employ, the opportunity for you to hire, the community, the tax dollars that you pour into the community? You guys pour any tax dollars into the communities? Golly, we hated looking at those types of numbers, man. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. Imagine what that would do if you grew at 800%. What would your bank account look like if it grew 800%? The impact that you can make in people's lives if you grew 800%. It's real simple math. I know it's early, right? Take whatever number you've got now, multiply times 8. How's that feel? Feels good, right? I remember I was at a Hustle and Grind Con. Anybody go to Hustle and Grind Con? Anybody know Sean Hayes? A couple of you know Sean Hayes? Yeah, he's kind of out of the picture now. He's disappeared a little bit. But we had this event back in 2018 called Hustle and Grind Con. We had an event and we invited Dr. Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher, to speak. Any of you guys ever heard of E.T. the hip hop preacher? Anybody watch the Super Bowl last year? His voice was in a bunch of the Super Bowl commercials. All right, so we invited E.T. the hip hop preacher onto the stage, and he's on the stage, and I love E.T., and I'm in a really good place in my career. I'm making great money. We're doing big things. And Eric Thomas is on stage and he says, "You think you're doing something because you're providing for your family?" Like that's how he talks, right? "You think you're doing something because you're putting food on the table?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I thought I was doing something. Like, back up, bro." He goes, "No, that's what you're supposed to do. You're doing something when you put food on 100 families' tables." That hit me. I'm like, damn, he's right. It's one thing to provide for ours. We're called to provide for many. That's why it's great about this industry. The bigger we grow, the more we expand, the more opportunities we create, and the more lives we can impact. That's why I love this industry so much, right? So, opportunity is there. There's a path that has been carved out. And when Jason asked me to speak, normally I do some sort of keynotes and storytelling and tell my story. And I thought, this is a room of people that just want to sell more cars and want it to be easy as possible, right? Like, it's okay that we want it to be easy. It's totally okay. Because the auto industry itself is pretty complicated most of the time, don't you think? Like, it's really complicated. Right? Let's think about it. You're like, oh, you want to buy a car? Okay, then you got to go on the line, and then you connect to the thing, and you call the one person, but then after that person gives you some answers, then you're going to come in, and then you're going to see somebody else, but we're not going to give you this price. You got to come in the door, and your trade will be worth more if you come in a little bit late. Like, if you bring it in, we can give you more for it, and then we can do this, and then you're going to bring in, and then when you show up, we know the car that you want. We already gave you some numbers on the trade. We've already done all these things, but I need you to hand it over to this person over here, and then it's going to be a 3-hour process. Like, we've complicated this thing. It's nuts. Hire people, don't train them. Go follow that guy. He'll show you how to do it. Figure it out. Yeah, it's commission only, by the way. Figure it out or you starve. Right? Like, we've made it so complicated when really it's a very simple industry. So with your permission, what I would like to do is just simplify this whole thing for you, give you a couple formulas, math, not magic, numbers that you can apply in your stores, and then we can discuss any questions that you might have so that you can go back to the stores, execute, and sell more cars and make more money. Is that fair? Do I have your permission to do that? Okay, good. So here's where we're going to start. Oh, we got the plaque back. Yeah. Isn't that thing cool? Being able to see all the stuff. I see like, had to fire my best friend. I see that. I see lots of stuff. There's a lot in here. Okay, so. Yeah, I got one of these at the office. I love this thing. All right, I'm just going to take, I don't see anybody else really with a coat on. So I'm going to take this off and we're just going to get to work. Is that cool? Roll our sleeves up a little bit. So be interactive, talk with me, ask questions. I don't have a lot of time, but what I'm sharing with you, I promise you, if you apply, you'll get massive results and you'll get results quick. Okay? All right, so we're going to roll our sleeves up. Okay. Your pen seems, I don't know. Never mind.
Sitting there playing with it. Well,
okay, it works just fine.
You can do it for your market.
Okay, here we go. You ready? We're gonna take all of automotive, okay? Like the whole thing, the whole complicated, crazy ass thing we call the auto industry. All right, we're gonna take it and we're just gonna break it into 3 pieces real quick, okay? So that we can understand it. I'm a simple dude, like I really am. Are you gonna move it over here for me?
Yeah, a little bit.
Thank you. I'm a simple dude. I like stuff to be super easy, right? Especially like in my house. I have 8 kids. Anybody got 8 kids or more? No? 5? Oh, I remember when I was a part-time parent. That's good, man. But I got 8 kids. So in our house, everything's like a system and a process. It's the only way it works. And we try to just narrow everything down to the most common denominator, right? You remember in fractions, they're like reduce to the lowest common denominator, and that's how we can solve big problems. That's what we did in the dealership, is we're like, how do we reduce this to the lowest common denominator and get this thing fixed, okay? So, automotive in a nutshell. It's a triangle, right? Like this, okay? And there's 3 sides to the triangle. Anybody know the 3 sides to the triangle? Okay, I'll break them down for you. Inventory is 1, right? Can we sell cars without cars? We could take some deposits. I think Elon's got some of those. How many deposits he got on that Cybertruck of $100 each? How many do you think he'll actually sell? I don't know. We'll find out, right? But we need inventory. Do you guys agree? And inventory means new and or used cars. That counts as inventory, right? Inventory also counts as hours, right? We sell hours in our service departments. That could be inventory too, right? Like there's lots of things that go under inventory, our merchandise, our accessories, et cetera, right? But we need inventory. We need a product to sell. Super important, real simple, right? Okay, we need inventory, and then we also need marketing, right? Like if I've got like I was talking to Grant Cardone. Any of you guys know Grant Cardone? I was talking to Grant Cardone. He said, Glenn, if you had a bottle of water that when people drank it, it gave them everlasting life, perfectly healthy, they would never age, they would last forever. He said, you would still struggle to get it in the hands of everybody on this planet without marketing. Doesn't matter how good the product is, and it doesn't matter how much of the product that you have. If we don't have a marketing strategy, we're not going to be able to drive volume predictably the way that we would want to, right? We just can't do it. So we have to have good marketing. And what does marketing look like? Of course, there's paid marketing, there's social media marketing, there's our inventory has a lot to do with marketing, et cetera, right? Different ways to market. We'll get into all of that here in a little bit. But for the most part, we've got inventory, we've got marketing, and then the foundation is people and processes. And I will do my best to not keep my rear end at you the entire time. We'll move back and forth, all right? So sometimes over here, sometimes over there. What's that? Yeah, we'll throw it at Jason every once in a while. Okay, so inventory, marketing, people, and processes. Is that fair? Think about any aspect of your business. Does it fit under one of those 3? It does, right? Everything in automotive can be fit in this triangle right here. Inventory, marketing, people, and processes. That's it. So what we need to do in order to create predictable scale is make sure we have a full understanding of inventory, which this guy helps a lot with, right? We have to have a full understanding of inventory. We need to have a full understanding of marketing. and we have to really spend a lot of time developing our people and our processes. That's where, as a leader of an organization, you got to be spending all of your time in one of these three areas. Making sure we understand inventory, we understand marketing, or people or process. Any questions around that? Okay, good. So, with that said, very simple triangle. And we are going to dive into that a little bit more here in just a second. Okay, so now I promised you equations, simple, easy to understand, easy to execute. So I'm going to give you an equation right now, and then we're going to tie it in to our inventory, our marketing, our people and processes, okay? An equation that takes it down to the lowest common denominator. So here I am, I'm at this store, I'm in Paris, Kentucky, population 9,600. I'm trying to figure out how I can predictably sell more cars. That's the word, that's a key word there, right? Predictably, not just on a hunch. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna predictably sell more cars year over year over year over year over year. That requires a formula that we can plug anybody into, we can plug any economic situation into and get the same result. How much predictability do you guys have in your stores? Middle, right? My guess is you probably predict that on the first of the month, people are gonna slack off, and on the last of the month, they're gonna try harder. Which is so silly, but we created that, right? Who sells more cars the second half of the month than the first half of the month? Anybody in here? Feel free, you can admit it. Go ahead. It's okay. I know. I did this. I've been doing this with you guys for 20-something years. We always sell more cars in the back half than the first half. Every owner, every GM I've ever talked to has made that claim. We always sell more cars in the second half than the first half. Why is that? Do you think the consumer gives a flying foot nanny if it's the first half of the month or the second half of the month? No. It's because we set a 30-day goal. We slacked off the first 2 weeks. Now we realize we're behind the goal. We increase our advertising, we run a mailer, we kick everybody in their teeth, and we get better results in the second half of the month than we do the first. Everyone tries to hit their targets, their bonuses, their numbers. And then we call them heroes on the 31st and what on the 1st? Zeros, baby. What an awesome industry this is. Run hard, get it, boy, get it, all right, you got it. Now you suck. Back to zero, do it again. And we do it every 30 days, over and over and over, man. It's freaking madness. And the manufacturer wanted it that way. That's why they give us our incentives every 30 days. Pay plans are set up on months. Like everything's month to month to month to month to month to month, right? So we're gonna break out of that. We're gonna talk about breaking down of that by just applying a simple formula that creates predictability in our stores. What does predictability really look and feel like? McDonald's. Anybody admittedly eat McDonald's still? Yeah, it's usually hard to find. There we go, okay. Like I know everybody eats a little McDonald's here and there, but getting people to admit it nowadays is a whole lot different than it used to be, right? But my kids will eat anything that comes out of McDonald's bag. Like period, anything. You bring it out of McDonald's bag, they will eat it, bro. They're like, oh, raw liver, yay! Doesn't matter. If it's in a McDonald's bag, they will eat it, dude. It's so crazy. Their marketing's incredible, right? But one of the things about McDonald's that's awesome is that they have these golden, crispy, salty French fries, right? They're just good. I don't care who you are, they're good. If you don't like McDonald's French fries, there's a problem with you. They're good. Maybe not good for you, but they're good, right? And what's interesting is I can get McDonald's French fries here in Kansas City. I can get McDonald's French fries in Lexington, Kentucky. I can get McDonald's French fries probably in like Italy when I go there next week. I can get McDonald's French fries and they're always golden, crispy, and salty. Predictably, I know what I'm gonna get. Now, how do they do that? How can I get the same dang fries every time? Because they have how many locations? Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions? And I get the same dang fries. How do I get the same dang fries? Because they have different people working at every single one. And some of those people are pretty, and some of those people are not pretty. And some of those people are young, and some of those people are not young. And some of those people are smart, and some of those people are dumb. But I get the same dang fries every time, man. I look at their business model, I'm like, golly, I sure would love to have a system in my dealership where whether the person was pretty or not pretty or young or old or smart or dumb, I could get the same result. Wouldn't that be awesome? Be amazing, right? What you guys don't realize is you're already getting there. It's just not the result that you want, and you haven't equated it. But statistically, 76% of dealerships in this country are performing at basically the same level. All because of something we were taught a long time ago. McDonald's gets the same French fries every time because they teach the same formula every time. The formula is very simple, right? Get the bag, open it up. Okay, step one, right? Take the fries, put them in the basket. Got it. Step two. Take the basket, put it in the fryer. Cool. Got it. Push the button for whatever amount of time. Done. Pull them out of the fryer. Got it. Put some salt. Awesome. Throw it in the container. Yes. Stick it in a bag, hand it out the drive-thru, right? It's just that. So it doesn't matter who's on the other end of that. It's so simple. It's so clear. Anyone can do it, whether they're 5 years old or 500 years old or anywhere in between, right? It's very, very, very simple. We have a formula that's been given to us, or was given to us, actually back in 1973 by NADA. Anybody ever heard of NADA? All right. So NADA gave us a formula. And the formula that NADA gave us is they said, hey, if you open a dealership and you make sure that your fixed ops pays for your expenses on your sales side, and you hire one salesperson for every 10 to 12 cars that you want to sell a month, and you sell roughly 80 to 120 cars, you'll net $1 million a year. CNADA formula. They wrote a book about it back in 1973, 50 years ago. Fast forward, 50 years later, technology has evolved. The tools we use have evolved. Who's old enough to have faxed in for deals? I used to use a fax machine for deals, right? Send a little picture of your kids with it. Please buy my deals, right? Technology has evolved. Everything around us has evolved, but yet salespeople are still selling what? 10 to 12 cars a month, predictably. Month in, month out. So predictably, you guys have them on like your financial statements. You're like, well, if we want to sell 3 more cars, I got to get 3 more salespeople, right? If I want to sell 30 more cars, I got to get 3 more guys. The formula was given to us 50 years ago and has not evolved, even though the tools have. Crazy, right? Why? Well, it's like the Matrix. We hold on to things. It's worked. It's worked for a long time. We made money. We're secure. We're safe. I don't have to break out of that. I'm going to help you break out of it. I'm going to help you break out of it right here today. I'm going to give you a brand new formula with the lowest common denominator being your salesperson, okay? Because if we can control everything from the person who opens the bag of French fries, if we can start there, then we can control everything all the way up. Does that make sense? All right, so here's the formula. I have a salesperson, keyword sales. I have a salesperson. They come to work. I want them to sell a car while they're at work. I know that's hard to think about, right? No, seriously. I want them to sell a car every day that they're at work. Don't you think that's fair? Right? I want them to. I don't need them to. I don't expect them to. I really want them to. Because if they sell a car every day that they're at work, what happens in their life? What happens for their family? How long do they stay with me? I create an environment where they always have momentum. When's the best time to sell a car? Anybody know? Right after you just sold one. Come on, baby. I want them to sell a car every day that they're at work. How many days a month do you work them? How many days a month do you work your salespeople?
20 couple.
What's that?
20 couple.
Yeah, 20 couple, right? Roughly 20. Who's closed on Sundays? Okay, good. Do you give your people a day off during the week? Okay, good. There's usually 26, 27 business days a month, right? So you give them a day off. You get off on Sundays. They're going to work how many days? 22. All right, they're going to be 22, so we'll cut them a little bit of slack just in case. Let's just call it 20. How about we call it 20? if every salesperson in your organization sold 20 cars every month that they were at work, would you sell more cars or less cars than you do now? More. And didn't we say that we want to sell more when we go back? Okay, so we're in agreement. So let's just start here because this is the lowest common denominator. It's very easy and it bridges into everything else on that triangle that I showed you. Okay, so we're gonna agree. We're gonna say, because it's 2023, I now am allowed to create an environment where my sales guy can sell a car every day that he's at work, or a girl, right? Because if they were selling 10 to 12 in 1973 with no social, no internet, none of the tools that we have today, do you think it's fair that they could sell more now than they did 50 years ago? I mean, we used to only be able to sell within like a 6-mile radius of our dealership, right? That's why all these dealerships are along the freeways and the interstates and main highways and all. You get all the blue sky if you've got all this traffic going by, so on and so forth. It's an old model. It's an old formula. It's based on the fact that traffic used to have to come in the front door. Now traffic comes in where? You come online, right? So the boundaries have expanded. So we used to be able to sell cars in a 6-mile radius. Now we can sell cars in a 3,000-mile radius. Evan, we ever send any cars to Seattle from Kentucky? We ever send them to New York?
All over.
Florida?
Everywhere.
Texas? Everywhere, right? We tried to get some across the pond, but apparently that was illegal, right? I guess you can't send them to London or anything like that. Not new ones anyway, all right? So Evan started with me as a detailer when he was 19 years old. Then he became one of our top salespeople. Then he became our top finance manager and probably the top finance manager in the United States of America. He contracted 8,000 deals in 5 years and ran 3,100 a copy. Yeah, he's a beast. So he was there for all of it. He was there from all of it. So I think it's fair. I personally think it's fair. I would love for you guys to join me, but I think it's fair to say that in today's day and age, in 2023, a car salesperson should sell 1 car a day, every day that they're at work. I think that's fair. If they could do 10 to 12, 50 years ago, they can do 20 today. It's not a big jump, right? It's not a big jump. So we're gonna use that number. Lowest common denominator. I like the number 1. It's so easy. We built this entire dealership around that number. We built the entire dealership around that. And that single side, when we figured this out, we're like, shit, if we can just get them to sell 1 every day, we win. And we can predictably go as far as we want to go, because all I got to do is bring in more and put them in the system where they're making golden French fries. Right? So, started at this number 1. I'm like, okay, I want them to sell 1 a day, every day that they're at work. So it's my responsibility to make sure that whether they're pretty, not pretty, old, young, smart, or dumb, they sell 1. It's my responsibility. So I just started doing some math, right? I'm like, okay, how many customers actually have to get in front of this person, person X, whoever they are, to guarantee they sell 1 car every day? How many people do you think that is? To guarantee, no matter what, that they sell 1 car. How many customers do you need to get in front of a salesperson? 4, okay. 5. What is you guys' closing ratios in your stores when they're when a customer's in the store? About 50%, okay. Who else? What are your closing ratios? Are you tracking your closing ratios? I know you are. I know you all got the log. You be filling out the log, having your save a deal meetings. I know what y'all be doing. Between 45 and 50, all right? Most dealerships that lie would say like 60, 65, right? That's usually what they say, you know, depends on which meeting they're at, who they're talking to, all right? So let's just safely say that if you had 3 customers in your showroom, right? If you had 3 customers in your showroom, somehow, some way, one of them would buy a car. Can we agree to that? It's like 30%. Somehow, some way, either a manager would TO it, or the owner would get involved, or the customer's just a lay down, right? Like, somehow, some way, one of those 3 customers would buy a car. Is that safe? So I'm going to put this number as 3. Okay? So 1 deal, 3 shows. Okay? I need 3 people to show up, whether that means show up online, like in a Zoom, or show, like, you know what I mean? Show up looks a little different in today's day and age than it used to. It used to be in the showroom. But I need 3 customers, 3 potential buyers in front of each of my salespeople every day that they're at work. If I do that, I'm going to get golden French fries. Right? I'm going to get a deal. Period. I'm going to get a deal. So I need 3 people to show up. Now that I know that, I'm like, okay, great. I got to get 3 people per salespeople. How many salespeople do I have right now? Okay, well, all right. Maybe I need to get rid of some salespeople. Maybe I need to add some salespeople. We can start figuring this part out, right? As we apply the formula. Are you guys picking up what I'm putting down? You following me so far? Okay, good. All right. So, how many appointments do I have to have? Oh, I just wrote the number. Dumb. All right. So in order to get 3 shows, I have to have what? 5 appointments. What's your appointment show rate? 75, right? National, across the board, it's in the 60s, typically, show rate, right? So if I have 5 appointments, 3 of them are going to show. And if 3 of them show, I'm going to sell 1. Were you following? Yep. Real simple equation, right? Okay, so how many leads do I need to have to get 5 appointments? This time I'm not writing the number. Based on the metrics and the numbers that you guys already know. How many leads do I need?
20.
20? We're going to have to work on your show ratios. Or your appointment ratios. I'll help you. I know it's early for math. 8. Right? 8 qualified leads. If I can convert about 60% of those over into appointments and then convert about 60 of those into 60% into shows, then I'm going to get 3 people to show up and I'm going to sell a car. Simple math. Very simple math. Now, here's where, and most people can pick this up. They're like, okay, yeah, if I got 8 leads, 5 appointments, 3 shows, yeah, I'm going to make a deal. Here's where people get lost, though. This is per person per day. Okay, now we start to get into a crazy world, right? Because now the numbers start to get pretty big. When we're building this, we built it off of this. I said I got to get 3 people in front of Evan or any other salesperson. Doesn't matter to me who the salesperson is. If the formula works right, then it doesn't matter what's going on in the economy. It doesn't matter whether I hire people or don't hire people. It doesn't matter who's in the spot. It doesn't matter how trained they are. Nothing matters. I get golden French fries, right? Guaranteed. And that's what I want. That's what you said you wanted, predictability. How do I predictably scale? Take it down to the lowest. Okay, I got to get 3 people in front of them. In order to get 3 people in front of them, I got to have 5 appointments. In order to have 5 appointments, I got to generate 8 leads. So now we start working this thing backwards. So the first question you should ask yourself right now is, how many salespeople do you have? Go ahead and write that number down. How many salespeople do you have? Multiply that number times 8. And that's how many leads you should be generating per day. So multiply that times 25. How you doing on leads? How you doing on leads? In real life, are you short? Are you getting less leads in your store than that number you just wrote on the paper? Let's do the math for it one more time, right? Take how many salespeople you have. How many salespeople you have, right? Take that number. I've got this many salespeople times 8. If I have 5 salespeople, I do it times 8. That's now 40. That's 40 leads per day. How many days in the month? 25. What's 40 times 25? 1,000. So 5 salespeople, in order for the formula to work, I need to have 1,000 leads. Is that a big number for some of you? It's a big number, right? It's a big number, and I totally get that. I totally get that's a big number, because it's not what we typically do in this industry. What we typically do in this industry is we start to look at things like this, and then it's like the Matrix, our head just kind of pops a little bit, and we go, actually, you know what, I'll just convert more of my leads. How about I do that? How about I just convert more of my leads, or I'll just get more salespeople that'll sell like 10 cars each. Then I ain't gotta do it. And guess what? When we do that, guess what we get? The same predictable result you've been getting for decades. When you follow the old formula, you get the old result. Simple. New formula expands your mind, causes you to think different, and that's how you get results like this. We became the second largest used car franchise dealership in the United States of America because we focused on this. How do I build this machine to get golden frickin' French fries every day? Tenacious, right? How do we build this? Now, as we were building this out, okay, because we thought the same thing. We're like, damn, that's a lot of leads, man. That is a lot of leads. I'm gonna get that many leads. Okay, well, great. Here's what I'll do. I'll commit to getting 2 of these people, and I need my salesperson whose job it is to what? Sell, right? And prospecting's part of it. I'll get them to get 1. Right? I'll commit to 2. They commit to 1. Now, how can salesperson, or if you want to go all the way to the top of the pyramid, I'll commit to 6, and they commit to 2. Right? On the appointments, I'll commit to 4, or I'm sorry, I'll commit to 3, or I'm sorry, I'll commit to 4, they'll commit to 1. Just depends on where you want to break it down, right? But I need some salesperson contribution. Do you guys agree? They should contribute at least, I want them to contribute to about 20% of it. I'll go 80, you go 20, 80-20 rule. I'll go 80, you go 20. You used to do that with your girlfriend, right? Lean in 80, make sure she come 20. If she don't come 20, boy, back up, right? And get yourself in trouble. Okay? So I'll go 80, you'll go 20. How do I salespeople generate leads? How do salespeople generate leads?
Social media.
Social media is the easiest one. Why is it the easiest one?
It's free.
Because it's free, right? So how many of your salespeople are currently generating leads with social media? Not enough, right? That's a good answer, right? Probably not enough, which is pretty typical across the entire industry. Why? Because we haven't taken the time to look at the triangle, focus on the process, and create a process that gets me golden French fries every time when it comes to social media. Do you see? There's pieces of the puzzle that are missing. I got to put them together so that I can get this. But we just focus here, but it starts to expand into our triangle. Marketing, inventory, people and processes. It all starts to come together because I'm going, dang it, how do I get to this number? Okay, I need some help. I need help from my people, from my salespeople. They got to help me on this. So I have to now what? I have to train them on a process that they can do whether they're pretty or not pretty, young or old or smart or what? Dumb. I got to train them on a process that they're still going to drive a result. That's my responsibility now. It's not, hey, go get me some leads. Look, guys, all right, it's Saturday morning here, all right? Now, I'm going to get you some pizza today, but only if you give me some damn leads. Otherwise, I'm going to kick you in the teeth. That doesn't work anymore. I got kicked in the teeth. I got kicked in the teeth so much in this dang business, I had to spend $30,000 on these guys. Now they're beautiful, right? But I got kicked in the teeth every freaking day, man. And I worked in a store that grew exactly, guess, over 8 years, it grew exactly 0%. I worked every day, every other Sunday off for 8 years at a Nissan Subaru store. We were selling 120 cars when I started. We were selling 120 cars when I left. And I got my teeth kicked in all along the freaking way, dude. It was miserable. It's miserable, right? It doesn't work. It doesn't do this. It doesn't do this. Like if you guys want to have an event on how to stay in business and do exactly what you do, just stay with the old formula and just hang out with NADA, I promise. They'll get you there. No offense. I love NADA. I love what they've done for this industry. The formula's old. It's antiquated. It doesn't work. Okay? Where am I at on time? I'm getting,
You got it.
okay, I'm good. Okay, great. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate you. I appreciate me not letting you talk right there. I appreciate that. All right. Okay, so I need a process for my people to be able to generate their own leads on social media. Would you guys like to have that? All right, my guy Mark's good at this. He's good at social media. All right, so 4 P's of social media. I'm not going to go in depth, but I'll just give you a quick little summary. All right, here's the process that you give to your salespeople. You say, because the reason most of your salespeople aren't using social media to generate leads is because you haven't showed them how. You've asked them to do it. You've told them to do it. You've required them to do it. You've put it into their pay plan. You've kicked them in the teeth when they didn't do it, but you never actually taught them how to do it. Let's just be real. Probably because most of you don't know how to do it, which is fair, okay? All right, so 4 P's of social media, real quick. Personal post, professional, my handwriting is terrible, so just listen to me more than looking at this. Personal post, professional post, purposeful post, and poll. These are the 4 P's. Personal post, I know my handwriting is terrible. You ready? Personal post, professional post, purposeful post, poll. Okay? And just a quick breakdown on what that is. This is what you're going to give your salespeople. When you go back, you're going to say, hey, check it out. I talked with Glenn over at the LotPop thing, and it was dope. And we figured out a way for you to sell 1 car a day every day that you're at work. And I'm going to commit to making sure that that happens. The only thing that I need from you is I need you to follow this very simple process on your social media. Here's how it works. I need you to make a personal post. And a personal post means anything about you as a person. That's it. Well, what should I post? I don't know, your favorite color, place that you just went shopping, doesn't matter. Anything about you as a person, that's a personal post. Very simple, really, really easy. Okay, great. Now, after I do a personal post, what should I do? Oh, you're going to do a professional post. What is a professional post? A professional post is anything that tells people what you do for a living and why you do it better than anyone else. Professional post is your opportunity to brag.
Can I chime in here?
Yeah.
You can probably see it too.
Uh-huh.
I see so many people, even managers, trying to, hook Facebook friend. I go look at their profile. I'm like, all right, they're in the car business. They don't even have their info.
Correct.
That where they work, what their sales, nothing. I'm like, okay. So then I'm scrolling through just to see if they're doing car posts or if they've checked into the dealership.
Yep.
Half the time they don't. I mean, I'm like, all right, is this person in car business? Do I know this person? No, skip off.
That's
and,
right.
And so anyway, even though they do all this stuff, get their profile right. Just get their business, where they work, yourself.
right.
Do it yourself.
Yeah, announce what you do for a living. Yeah, announce what you do for a living. It's okay to tell people what you do for a living. This is what we do in real life. Do you guys notice that? In real life, we usually meet someone through something personal. Maybe it's a church we share, a coffee house we go to, a gym we work out. And then what's the first thing you ask somebody when you meet them? What do you do for a living? Oh, shit. Okay, that's okay. It's an okay question. It's okay to share that, right? Why do we do that? We want to see if we can exchange services or goods. So we do a professional post. Now, a professional post is not, this is not a professional post. Please don't, here, come stand up right here, Jason. This is not a professional post, okay? Just sold Jason a car. Yeah, right? And then I post that on my social media because who cares that I sold Jason a car when I post that on my social media? Who do you think cares?
Yeah.
My mom cares, right? Because I sold it. Nobody else, because they don't know who the hell Jason is. Now, if Jason were to post it on his social media, it'd be a little different because Jason just bought a car and all his friends would like that, right? But those posts, that's not a professional post, all right? That's silly, that's lazy, it doesn't work. Professional post is highlight who you are and what you do and why you do it better than anyone else. You can have a seat. Thank you, sir. You're a great model. All right, then we do a purposeful post. Purposeful post simply means make me feel something positive. Make me feel something positive. Make me laugh, make me cry, bring me joy, motivate me, inspire me. Just make me feel something. Just make sure it's positive. All right? No politics, no COVID crap, none of that stuff. All right? It's going to make people feel negative. It's not what we want. We want a positive feeling. And then the final one is poll. And the only reason we make this word poll is so it starts with P and it's easy to remember. You don't actually have to use the poll feature. Just ask a question. That's it. Just ask a question. Do you like cats or do you like dogs? Right? It can be any question. And here's the key to asking a question. Make sure I don't have to push the more button to read it. Some people are like, write out this whole 19 paragraphs, and then at the end they're like, so do you like cats or dogs? Ain't nobody getting there. It should be one sentence. I do not have to push more to read it, and I can respond with 1 or 2 words. Anyone know the most viral post in history? What color is this dress? You guys all remember that post? What color is this dress? They were like, oh, it's black and gold. No, it's not. It's this and this, right? Created all this commentary, which spurred the algorithm up, and it spread everywhere. Very simple. One sentence. Don't click more. Let me respond with yes or no. This is the 4 P's of social media that you teach your people so they can go out and help drive leads. It's a process. If you don't currently have a process, take this one. If you don't like this one, create another one. But ultimately, teach them how to do it. Don't just ask them to do it. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to get some help from them through social. I'm also going to get some help from them because I'm going to sit with them and show them how to call everybody in their phone. Because they got a lot of contacts in their phone. And a lot of their contacts that are in the phone buy cars right down the street because they didn't know they were in the car business. Cousins, aunts, uncles. Here, let's be truthful. Everyone just kind of close your eyes for a second. Raise your hand if one of your family members bought a car somebody else. Right? It happens to us. We're in the car business. We think everybody knows. People don't know, and they go buy somewhere else. And then we're pissed. Why didn't you buy from me? They're like, we didn't know. So we teach them how to make calls. We teach them how to prospect. We actually invest in their education so they can drive one. Is that fair? I need them to get one of these. I'll get the rest. That reduces the amount of leads I have to spend money on. Make sense? People, processes. Okay. I'm going to clean all this up. And we're going to wrap this thing around because I know you guys have a big day today. Okay, any questions on all that? You guys are quiet in here this morning. What's that? Yeah, perfect. We're going to that right now. You ready? Okay, so we know the formula, right? So we're going 8, 5, 3, 1, right? 8 leads, 5 appointments, 3 shows, 1 sold. I'm going to ask my salespeople to help me out with some of that. I'm now responsible. I got to get 6 leads per person per day. Okay, let's go back to our triangle because everything is based in the triangle, right? Marketing, inventory, people, and processes, right? That's the triangle. We all get that? Okay, so I need to drive more leads. I gotta get 6 leads per salesperson per day in order to get golden crispy French fries no matter who that salesperson is, right? I've got to do that. So what are effective ways that I can drive leads? Well, that's a great question. And it's a question that we asked right around, right in these high 200s, low 300s. We asked that question. We said, my goodness, we got to get more leads in here. How do we effectively drive more leads? So we went to our paid marketing first. And when we went to our paid spend, I don't know what you guys' financial statements looks like in your ad budgets. I'm lying, I do. But ours was like we were paying 15 to 18 different sources for our paid marketing. We were paying Auto Trader, we were paying Cars.com, we were paying Car Gurus, we were paying Carfax, we were paying TV, we were paying radio, we were paying local radio and iHeartRadio. We were paying Spectrum. We were paying the local baseball team. We were paying the local newspaper. We were paying, you guys feeling me? You picking up what I'm putting down? Like the list went on and on and on and on and on. And guess what? Every single one of those paid ad channels, every single one of them converted. Like every single one of them. We made, at least we believed, that we made money on every single one of those. If we spent $1 here, we were at least getting $1.02 back, right? We believed that, and we could show it on paper that that was the case. We get a lead from here, or we get a deal from here, so on and so forth. So then we asked a really crazy question. It was the craziest question I ever asked myself. We asked a crazy question. We said, okay, all of these work. Every single one of these channels work. Every single one. And we got freaking 15 of them. They all work. Which 3 work the best? Crazy question. So then I started looking and I'm like, oh, okay, so I can spend $1,500 with Carfax and sell 1 car that I make $2,000 on. Yay, I came out ahead. Or I could spend $1,500 on Facebook carousel ads and sell 8 cars. Where should I put the $1,500? Should I put it with Carfax to get the 1 deal, or do I put it with Facebook and get 8 deals? It blew my mind when we started to look at it. I'm like, holy crap, what are we doing? I can generate leads on Facebook for $31. I can generate leads on Google for $34. I can get a better package with Auto Trader and get my spotlights and show up on top and dominate and get way more reach than I would ever get being on Cars and Car Gurus and on Auto Trader. Instead of splitting my money across 3 different places, let's put it all in one and see what happens. We did. We got rid of everything except for the top 3 highest converting avenues for us. And once we put all of our eggs in that basket, we not only reduced our ad budget while we increased our leads, we not only reduced our ad budget, but we created more opportunities to create predictable results because I was only dealing with 3. Instead of 15, 18. Where'd that customer come from? Where'd that customer come from? Oh, I know where they came from. They came from Google, they came from Facebook, or they came from Auto Trader. They came from one of those 3. So let's control these 3 so that we can get our golden French fries. So we drove through our ad dollars, we were able to drive more leads. Then we started looking at it and we said, okay, that's cool. What else? Like, how do I get even more? Because I got to get 6 leads per salesperson per day. They're going to get me the other 2, right? What else? And it immediately took us back to inventory. Inventory drives leads. You guys understand that, right? Inventory drives leads. And it was a little bit crazy because and it still kind of is, because I'll talk to people and they'll be like, yeah, we're going to sell 150 cars this month. I'm like, great. How many used cars you got on the ground? They're like, 80. I'm like, how many new you got? They're like, 30. I'm like, 80, 30, 1. Hold up. How are you selling 150 cars when you only got 110? How are you going to drive enough leads to sell 150 cars when you only have 110? Like, it's just simple math, and we do it in this industry. It's mind-boggling from the outside, once you get outside. I was in it, though, right? I was in it. But we just make, I don't know if I should be cussing in here or not. I don't normally cuss.
We've already had that conversation.
Okay. I'm just saying we just kind of make shit up in this industry. It's so weird. Right? We go into the meeting, all right, this is the month, we're going to sell 200. Your people are like, what? I sat here for 5 days without seeing a customer last week. What do you mean we're selling 200? Crazy, right?
Now, to be fair, our dealers will sell 150 with 100 in stock. Just to let you know, but it's
And I love that because you have an incredible tool.
So then we got to multiply a little more.
Yes, that's right. I'm with you. So inventory drives leads and traffic. Do you guys agree? All right, especially being LotPop dealers. You guys are all about it, right? So we started really looking at our inventory. And what we noticed in our inventory is that 85%, in our market, 80% of consumers were searching for black, white, and silver vehicles between roughly $20,000 and $30,000. That was 80% of our market. The other 20%, well, I shouldn't say the other 20%, 15% wanted Silverados. because we were in Paris, Kentucky. That's all they wanted is trucks, right? So this is what people were searching for. And then I looked at my inventory. My inventory was primarily $40,000 and $50,000 vehicles. I really didn't have much at all between 20 and 30. And I had a lot of red and blue and all these different colors. So my inventory did not match what people were looking for, which became a very clear problem that we solved. And as we solved that problem, we drove more leads. Does that make sense? So the answer to how do we get all of this is through this, oh, I don't know where that circle came from, through this, and this. It's the answer. We put better processes in place so our people can drive leads. We also make sure that we have the right people that can follow the process, which usually, never mind, I'm not going to go down that route. We got to match our inventory to what people are looking for, what sells in our market, the things that you guys do with LotPop. We got to make sure that our marketing is on point and that we're not just spending because we met the rep and they were cool 30 years ago. We had a dealer in our 800% club. He'd been paying his radio guy $18,000 a month for 29 years, was it? It was longer than that, wasn't it? He'd been paying him $18,000 a month for over 29 years. And he was like, man, he even said it. He said, I know it's not the most cost-effective way, but golly, I like this guy. I said, okay, well then continue to like him and continue to throw money his way and continue to sell 100 cars a month for the rest of your life. Or figure out a new formula, go to the guy and say, I love you and we're friends and you can come grill chickens with me on my, we'll barbecue some chicken. But ultimately, I'm trying to get somewhere with this dealership that ultimately is going to make an impact on hundreds of families' lives, thousands of families' lives. I would rather go to work with purpose and intent and predictability than go to work because it's what we've always done, get kicked in the teeth and not be able to get predictable results. I don't want the economy outside to determine my success inside. I want to determine my success. And that's a conversation that some of you might need to have with some of your partners that you've been with for a really long time. And hopefully they can evolve and help create better ways for you to build into this. But if they can't, there's nothing biblical about divorcing a vendor. Right? So 8531 is the tool I wanted you to walk away with today. I want you to start wrapping your head around this, measuring your dealership to this, figuring out ways how you can most effectively reach for this. And I promise you, if you take the time to do that, it's going to expose the weaknesses in your dealership. Some of you might be getting enough leads, but it's not converting to enough appointments. Somebody said it took 20 leads to get 5 appointments, right? We're getting enough leads, but we're not getting enough appointments. There's a problem there. There's a problem with whoever's responding to that lead. Either you're not responding to it fast enough or they're not trained well enough, right? Maybe you're getting enough leads and you're getting enough appointments, but they're not showing up. Well, then we have a process issue. We're not following up and confirming that appointment the way that we should, right? We're getting the appointment. We're like kissing our sister. We're getting the appointment, but they're not showing. What's the point? So this will help expose all of the weaknesses in your dealership as you start to dial into it, and you'll notice that all of those weaknesses are going to fit right in that triangle. It's an inventory issue, a marketing issue, or a people and process issue. And once you understand that, you can start predictably putting the things in place to scale and grow 800%. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Jason, that's what I came here to share.
I love it. And matter of fact, my first question is where I open up the questions. Would be if it's fair enough, you would suggest this, or no, you rip the Band-Aid off for people that are smaller. Let's say they're selling 60 cars and a population of 5,000 or something like that, right? Is it fair to cut that number in half even and just say, okay, instead, at first, let's get to here first and then grow it, or do you just start with that number, even if it's 1 and none?
Yeah.
Lead. I mean,
we start here.
So
This is how you're gonna get golden french fries.
you don't cut it in half. You don't
Nope.
deviate.
So say I'm selling 60 cars and I look at this, my guess is if somebody in here is selling 60 cars a month right now, my guess is they probably have 4 to 6 salespeople, right?
People for the cars.
What's that?
Yeah, you have the people for the cars. If you're selling 100, you got 10 people. If you're selling 60, you got 6.
That's
5,
correct.
Whatever.
And so we can look at that and then we can make a choice, Jason. We can say, I'm gonna invest in generating more leads, because I feel like that's the part of the process, to match this formula, or I'm gonna let 2 people go. Sometimes to run leaner, right? So if I'm at 60 with 5 people, I can get 60 out of 3 people, generate enough leads to guarantee they're successful, and once I'm there, I'm now more profitable because I'm running lean, and now I can add a 4th and a 5th and a 6th when I'm ready to scale. Do you see what I'm saying?
So my point is, I didn't want you guys to deviate off of that. It's just like 75 hard. You get your photo, you're done. You can't deviate.
That's
you
right.
You gotta drink your gallon of water, or you're done. You're not doing the program. So my point is, don't cut this short and say, well, maybe we'll try to get the 5 leads per day and this and that. Then we'll go to you. So don't deviate.
Don't
75
deviate.
hard. If you're not doing it, you're not doing it.
But
Aim for this.
Because as soon as you said that, I thought the same thing. I'm like, there is no 75 soft.
That's right. And guess what's really gonna happen when you shoot for this, right? First of all, you're gonna have data to share with your people, which is gonna inspire them more than your current, oh, we're gonna go sell however many cars with no data. But what's gonna end up happening is you're gonna convert better than this. Like you guys told me earlier, you can close, if 3 people show up, you could probably close 2 out of 3 of them, right? So we're focused on just closing 1 out of 3, but your performance in your store will likely be higher. So this is how we reach and stretch and make it so predictable that we can't lose. That's what this does. And then when you're winning, it's even better. It's just more fun.
10-car a month mentality, though.
What's that?
That 10-car a month mentality, how do you break them out of that? Because they're like, I'm done with things.
Yeah, math, not magic, right? So it really comes down to data. So we sat down with all of our salespeople and we had a conversation very similar with what I'm having with you. Like, hey, this is how it was in 1973. These are the tools that you have now. Here's what we're gonna do to make sure you win. Like, this is what we're gonna do, and here's what we need you to do. We'll go 80, we need you to go 20, right? So when we attach it to data, it's a lot easier than going, I need you to sell 1 car a day every day that you're at work. They're gonna look at you like, what? Like, are you kidding me? And then you're gonna have people in your dealership that have been there a long time selling 10, 12, 15 cars, and they're gonna say, no, I don't need to do that. I don't wanna do that. That's stupid. I'm great where I'm at. And you're gonna lose some of them. But you draw a line in the sand, you create what I call an expectation sheet, and you gain agreement from your people. We do not require them to do it, we inspire them to do it. And that is through gaining agreement. So I had Evan and every other salesperson in my place, and finance person, and sales manager, and every role agree in signed, like, here's what we're gonna do. We agree on it. I sign it, they sign it, and then 2 months goes by and they're not performing at that level. I just go up to them and I pull out the paper. I'm like, Rob, you said this is what you were gonna do, and I love you. I think you're amazing. I think we're awesome. My kids love you, my wife, but the paper says you said you were gonna do this. Why aren't you doing it? And maybe they say, oh, well, you didn't train me properly, or maybe they say, I just don't wanna do it, whatever. But you have to draw a line in the sand and gain agreement from your people, educate them through data on why this is the way it should be and how it benefits them, and then over time, you'll trim the fat. If you go to Paris, Kentucky, where our dealership's at right now, every single salesperson, whether they show up and they've never been in the business before, or they've been in the business however long that they've been at that store, because we don't hire people over 2 years, but however they've been at that store, every single one of them sells 1 car a day every day that they're at work, at least. And there's multiple of them that sell 30, 40, Erica sells 50. There's multiple of them that exceed that, but at the bottom, the lowest, they sell 1 car a day every day that they're at work, because there's a system in place, it's a process, it's now the culture. So it does take some time, you gotta trim some fat, but you gotta draw a line.
I wanted to, you don't know this, but we know each other.
I recognize you.
So when you went into that store.
Yes, sir.
A year later, a year and probably 10 months later, I went to another store in Lexington.
Okay.
that was bought for $3 million, blue, Freedom, selling 45 cars a month.
Yes, sir. Freedom Dodge.
We became the #1 store in the state of Kentucky for CDJR.
Yes, sir.
That year, we never gave it up.
That's awesome, man.
But I
That's
remember
your
that.
store right there by Southland?
It was.
Gotcha.
It was Billy Walters who brought me.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
And I remember that. I would go out and drive to Paris and sit by Earl's entrance.
Right.
I just wanted to see it. I actually almost bought a Corvette from you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you had the best price.
We usually did.
By thousands.
Yeah. Yeah. We usually
I
did.
mean, you didn't care it was a brand new model. Everybody else was holding everybody else. It's like, we're gonna move this car today.
That's right.
It was, and I remember you guys y'all picked up Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Yes, sir.
Just, you know, I really enjoyed that whole Cummings experience because it was, it just was, if you hit that lot, it was very difficult to get out of there. You did not drive out the way you drove in it.
That's right.
It was cool. You did
Thank
a great
you.
job.
Thank you.
Fantastic job.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, that's cool. Very, very cool.
Validation.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody got questions? Anything? Yes, sir.
So, Brad and I are vendors, but, you know, listening to the dealers the last couple days, one of the things that I heard a lot of suggestion was, and I'm just curious to get your input on it, is salesperson, let's say they sell 20 cars, great salesperson, right?
Yeah.
But it's the 15th and they've gotten to 19 or 20 cars, and then it's like they're coasting the rest of the month, right?
Okay.
Next 10 days or whatever. Same thing the first month. So my question for you is, what do you tell dealers, generally speaking, that they can do to enhance the performance of the salespeople who are kind of pushing off the dock and coasting for the rest of the month?
Okay, two things that I'll say to that. The first thing I will say is, can we ask ourselves why we have that problem up here? Every salesperson that I brought in, I need 20 cars a month out of them in order to hit my target. I need golden crispy French fries. That's what I need. If they give me 20 cars by the 5th and don't do crap the next 25 days, why do I care? I'm getting what I need in order for us to hit our targets and our goals. See, what we've created a bit in this industry, a little bit is ego, but a little bit is we're attaching results to people, our results, we're tying them to people, and it's so unpredictable that we need the 19 car guy on the 15th to keep going all the way through to the end because we have other people that aren't going to. Do you see what I'm saying? So we're creating this void. Now, obviously what we did is we set up everything was volume pay plan, and it was set up to where at 20 cars is when you started to make a little money. At 30 cars, you could make a lot of money, right? So we still gave them something to chase. If you sold 15 cars, you went broke, right? So there's things you can do in your pay plan to continue to keep them moving, but ultimately get what you want out of them and don't worry so much about how you get it. It's the same thing with, I need them to make 25 phone calls every day, send 15 videos and 50 text messages. Do you? Do you need them to do that? Or do you need them to sell a car every day that they're at work? If they sell a car every day at work, do you care if they send 50 text messages or calls or whatever? No, right? Because we're tying it to the result that ultimately feeds into our goals. And so what I like to tell people is phone calls are important, text messages are important, videos are important, but us having them do so many it was never meant to get the result. It was meant for us to train them on how to get a result. If you tell your salesperson, go make 25 calls a day and send 15 videos and 50 text messages, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go make 25 calls a day, send 15 videos and 50 text messages to the same dude. That's what they're going to do. Yeah, they're going to check the box to make sure you quit kicking them in the teeth. Whereas if you sit down with them and make 15 videos together, so they learn how to make a video and they learn the result from it. If you sit down with them or have people in your organization sit down with them and make phone calls together to teach them. When's the last time you guys monitored phone calls in your stores? Raise your hand if you've done it in the last 90 days. Did it suck?
You know, I was surprised. I had heard a lot of good conversations.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Rare. Usually it sucks. Like, I'm being honest. Like, usually it sucks, right? We go in there and like.
DC is where it gets rough sometimes.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
They ask a question, they don't give them an answer, and I just want an answer. It's like,
Yeah, it's like, just give them the result, right? But usually it sucks. But why does it suck?
we weren't meant to.
Because you didn't sit down and do it with them.
That leads to my next question. Robin, chime in on this if you like, because I did the math. If you have 8 leads a day times 25 days, see, my handwriting's worse than yours. That's 200 leads. How can a salesperson handle 200 leads and sell 20 to 25 cars? That's too much for a BDC rep, much less a salesperson.
Yeah.
So structurally, how do you do it? Do you eventually move those leads to a BDC department? And then, so how does this structure? Because that, in my eyes, you're going to leave a lot of leads unfollowed up with, which could cause sales losses. But it goes to your point, do I have to do 50 texts and, just to follow the lead? So
Totally.
don't go that path.
So
How do you structurally set that up?
I need 8 leads per day per salesperson to get my golden French fries. That doesn't mean I'm not distributing those 8 leads straight to that. 8
leads to get my 5 appointments, to get my 3 to show to sell that one.
Right. Well, my BDC team, which we changed to frontline salespeople, okay, not BDC. So BDC, Business Development Center, you pay them a little bit of salary and treat them like a glorified secretary. No. Frontline salespeople. My frontline salespeople are handling 150-ish a month, right, each. This is what they're handling. I've got, towards the end, we have 18, 20 of them in there? I don't remember how many we had. Our frontline salespeople? Yeah. Per 150 leads, I have a frontline salesperson in there. They're managing all the leads, setting all of those appointments, and then my sales guy is receiving on the other end, guaranteeing he gets it in front of at least 3 people every day.
So the salesperson is getting the 5 appointments, and so somebody, it's not the salesperson, that's what I'm saying, it's not the salesperson handling
Correct.
200 leads.
Correct.
That's what I'm wondering, okay.
Yeah, they're handling their contribution that they owe me. They owe me one, they owe me that, and then my organization is handling the rest.
So is it just a name change of the BDC, being a frontline salesperson?
It's a great question. It is not just a name change, but it does really start there. If you start to think of them like a frontline salesperson, guess what? You'll start to train them like a frontline salesperson.
Because I don't like scripts and just get the point. I want them to be able to talk about,
That's
if I
right.
trade in a car, what's my
That's right.
tax credit?
Yep.
Can I get the roof with one
Yep.
SD package, whatever. They got to be able to.
We had one rule for these people right here, because I'm always like one, right? Keep it real simple. The one rule we had right here is give them everything that they need to be able to give the customer enough information to come into our store without ever putting them on hold. That's it. If they've got to put the customer on hold, they're not trained properly. They need to know rebates, incentives, taxes. They need to be able to have the customer put a thing in a KBB tool and get an appraisal for the trade-in. They need to be able to do all of that right there as a frontline salesperson to lock up that appointment.
Did you set them on the floor for a week or two, couple weeks to learn all that, or is that just the rule?
Yeah, so we had a 2-week onboarding process for everybody that came through, and then they were involved in everything my salespeople were involved in. So every daily morning meeting, they're in there. Anything from GM, any news, any information. They were treated exactly the same as salespeople on the showroom floor.
At what point from this did you switch to the frontline sales?
We started with I shouldn't say but we had Debbie as a BDC person here. Then we added Josh Mitchell. Some of you guys might know Josh Mitchell. So I would say full-on frontline salesperson came in mid-2012, 250 range when we started selling like 250 cars. What's that?
A year and a half in.
Yeah, about a year and a half in. Yeah.
What else?
Is this valuable? Does it get you thinking?
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
Is the 150 a good number per frontline sales?
Yeah, we found that anything over that, unless you were Megan Saxey, we had one girl, Megan Saxey, she was a beast, bro. But outside of that, about 150 is what they could comfortably, I don't want to say comfortably, with me being comfortable with them managing the follow-up phone calls, not just only dealing with low-hanging fruit, et cetera, et cetera.
We're getting about 500, 600 leads. We only have 2 girls.
Yeah,
We need to add.
you definitely need to add.
That's enough.
Yes,
What's
sir.
your threshold, Robin, real quick?
Well, we're a bit different, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not inventory specialists. We are literally getting as much information as we can to get them comfortable to come into the dealership without being a frontline specialist. So our metrics are around 250.
Yeah.
But they're smiling at that.
Yeah, they're smiling. They're hitting dials. They're hitting those leads home.
Yeah.
What were you
Yes,
gonna
sir.
ask?
I was writing some things down and I missed the 150. What is the 150?
150 leads per frontline salesperson monthly that they could effectively manage. I felt that they could effectively manage. And as we continue to build this, like, and we'll talk more, I'll be here throughout the day, but as we continue, I mean, it all was math. Like, it literally was just math. I'm like, oh, I got this many leads divided by 150. I need this many frontline salespeople. I want to sell this many cars. I'm going to get 20 out of each one. I need this many salespeople. It's all just math. Yes, sir.
It could be a separate conversation or I could email, but how's the pay plans for the FLS?
So frontline salespeople got paid, they got paid $35 for each customer that showed, and then $50 if that customer bought. And then we gave them a small salary, $500 a week salary.
So they handled all the incoming leads then? The sales
Correct.
on the floor did not?
Correct. Salespeople were generating their own.
And incoming calls.
What's that?
And incoming calls.
All
they come in
through
on-
frontline salespeople. Yeah.
And then what about sold follow-up?
Sold follow-up was on the showroom salespeople. Yeah. Yes, sir. It's good to see you, by the way.
What's that?
It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you again too. The on sales follow-up, or I'm sorry, on lead follow-up, what do you feel like the timing wise is the best practice? We see a lot of dealers across the country, and they can vary from. Some guys are good, 7 days, and some guys are good 21 days. And I know one dealer does like 60-day absolute follow-up on their leads, but it all has an end date, right? As far as when the rush to go after that person and try to get them on the phone and try to get an appointment. So what do you think with COVID? I know it's extended that. What do you feel like is a fair estimate of a best practice of how that intense first follow-up goes? Or does it just, for you, does it just continue through eternity? Because obviously you're adding more leads and more leads, so where do you cut it off and kind of turn the volume down?
Yeah, sure. It's a great question, and comes down to a system and a process ultimately to drive a result, right? So I spent a lot of money generating that lead, so I expect it to be given every shot possible. 21 days to me is, you hammer it for 21 days. If you don't get anywhere in 21 days, statistically it shows a drop off after there is pretty significant, right? So 21 days of hammer, but at the end of the 21 days, there's a process in place that says, hey, Mr. Customer, you submitted some information. I've tried to call you. I've sent you some texts. I've sent you some videos. Clearly, you're not in a position where you're looking to do business with us. So I'm not going to waste your time or my time anymore. This will be the last correspondence that you get from us, right? And we send that. Now, is it actually the last correspondence? Hell no, right? It's going to go into the system. I'm going to wish them happy birthday and happy anniversary. But what we found is when we send that out, about 50% of the people that ghosted you for 21 days will now reply, right? Oh, I'm sorry, I had a medical thing, or I've just been busy, or I bought another car, or whatever. Like, it stimulates a response, right? So it's a scripted process to close the door somewhat, at least let it go to an automated process at that point. I don't want people on it after 21 days because I need them focused over here. So it can go to an automated process, but close the door in a way that could maybe get one more jab and stimulate some interest. Is that helpful? Yeah. Good. We good? Yes, sir.
The inventory side of the transit.
Yeah.
Now we have tools like what Jason's got.
Thank goodness for Jason.
Amazing to be able to tell this, but I want to go back to your deal where you said you had, people looking at silver, black, and white.
Yes.
In a certain price range.
Yes.
You recognize that, what year? I mean, we didn't have the tools like we have now, but this tool that he has, it's amazing, but if you don't have the person motivated to use it correctly, how do you go about finding out those things? Because it's so important. You can have all the inventory in the world, but if you have the wrong inventory, it don't matter.
That is a
So
fact.
how did you know that clear back then, or what tool did you use back then?
The way that I knew it is kind of weird. I went to the Walmart parking lot and just happened to notice that every car there was black, white, or silver.
Okay.
And I was like, what is going on here? And then I started looking around, and everywhere I looked, cars were black, white, and silver, right? Like, they're neutral colors. That's what people like. Sports car, what's that?
Gravel road cars.
Yeah,
right?
you know, sports cars are a little bit different. People like, some exotic color, but it was just it was a natural thing that we noticed as far as the color, and then we ended up building an entire buying team that would do They would do a lot of the things that Jason's tool now does. We didn't have Jason's tool at the time, but we had a team that would look at, here's what we're selling, right? Here's what's sold. One of our rules was whatever we sold yesterday got replaced immediately the next day. That was a standard rule, right? Here's what we're selling. This is what the market's searching for. We also would spend some time in Google Trends. You can go in Google Trends and just type in this versus this, LX versus, versus whatever, XT, whatever. You can put in models and see what people are searching for. So there's Google Trend data. But we basically did a lot of it manually. We built a team. We invested a lot of money in people that was their job, was to manage that inventory. Whereas with this tool, we could have done all of that and not had to invest so much money. We probably could have grown 900%. I don't know, maybe 1,000. Maybe 1,000. Then I would have had more kids though. I'm locked in at 8. I'm good. It is good. But yeah, so it was a lot of manual, but it was doing a lot of the same things. Figuring out what is the data telling you, man? And let's match the data.
And people were like that with everything. So I just remember I had all those different variants of colors and trim levels, and I was at the ice cream store, Baskin Robbins, they have 32 flavors. I was curious, man, what do y'all sell the most of? Chocolate,
That's right.
So don't stop Tutti Frutti.
That's right. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. And I hear it all the time. Oh man, I got a deal on this one. Oh my gosh, I got it $4,000 back a book. 180 days later, it's still sitting on their lot. Ain't $4,000 back a book no more, right?
You guys, I noticed you'll sell anything.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you'll sell a $300 car.
Yeah, there's two sides to that. Since you opened up that can of worms. We sold everything retail. We did not wholesale anything for many years, up till, I guess probably up till 2016 or so. We just sold everything retail. And we got all the as-is stuff signed and so on and so forth, right? And I was the GM, so I was the guy who got the calls. If it had to get elevated, I was the guy that got the calls. So the owners themselves never got the calls. So they were like, sell everything retail. Whereas me as the GM, I'm like, damn, man, I'm getting calls every day on some of this stuff. And I got one phone call. There was a family in a Suburban. It was an old Suburban that they bought. It was just an old vehicle. The guy calls me. He's like, dude, I'm driving down the road and all four wheels just popped off of my thing. This thing's dragging on the ground. The axle's like broke and popped off all four wheels. And he had his family in the car. And it was dragging on the freeway. Luckily, nobody died, nobody got hurt. But I went to Josh and Dusty and I said, hey, like, I can't do this. Like, I know we've got a stop, start, steer, and I know we've got the as is and so on and so forth, but I'm just not comfortable putting these families, in some of these cars. And so we stopped doing that for the last 2 years that I was there. We stopped doing that. We would still sell cheaper cars, but not that stuff, like the $300 cars, $500 cars, $1,000 cars. So we stopped doing that. Fast forward, I left there in October 2018. Volume dropped about 150 units, and Dusty said, let's go back to selling those wholesale cars. So they're back to selling everything retail again. Bob Kane Ford sells everything retail. He's got a good process in place. So that's one of those things you got to decide, you know, where you're at on those. There's benefits to selling everything retail, but there's also some.
Where'd you go after companies?
I've been doing this ever since. Yeah. I left October of 2018, had no idea what I was going to do. And I called up Lisa Copeland, who's a friend of mine, and some other people, and I said, how do you guys do this? Like, what? I want to go help other dealers. What should I do? And she's like, oh, charge them $10,000 a day, go hang out in the store, teach them some stuff. They'll love you. I'm like, okay, great. So I start calling them some dealers. I'm like, 10 grand for the day. I'll come to your store. I'll show you the whole thing. They're like, awesome, cool. So I do that. And next thing I know, dude, one of the reasons I left the dealership world is I wanted to spend more time with my wife and my kids. And now here I am living in hotels, like nonstop. And the worst part is I would be at the dealer for the day and they'd say, this is amazing. And I'd call them 2 weeks later and they'd say, this is incredible. And I'd call 2 weeks after that and they'd say, this is really great. And then I'd call 2 weeks after that and they'd say, we're not doing that anymore. And I'm like, what? Because of these 30-day windows, right? So here I am leaving on Tuesday, not getting home till Thursday night. The dealer feels like he's got to take me out for a steak dinner. We got to do we're spending all this time and they're not even applying it 6 weeks later. Mind-boggling to me. So I said, that's stupid. So fast forward November of 2019, a year later, I did an 800% Club workshop, brought a bunch of dealers in. We did a 2-day workshop. And then we started what we now have, which is the 800% Club, where we work with dealers all over the United States. We meet every week virtually. I've only stepped foot in about 20% of the dealers that I actually work with. We get more done in an hour than I ever did through a steak dinner, right? So we meet virtually every week, and then we have retreats every 4 months. We bring people together, dealers together. We have outside speakers, we have partnerships, things like Jason, so on and so forth. So we built a new way to be able to serve owners and GMs that's more time efficient and effective for them as well as for me, and it's been cool. So that's what I've been doing for the last 4 years. I appreciate you guys and girls so much. Thank you.